Autumn is here, and with it the new iPhone. It's the iPhone 13. You get a faster chipset, a bigger battery, a bigger sensor on the main camera, and a smaller notch. Not too shabby, but is all of that enough to convince people to upgrade to the new model? I'm Will for GSM Arena, and let's find out in our full review. Looks-wise, the iPhone 13 doesn't exactly break the mold. It brings the same shape and design as last year's iPhone 12, but with one striking difference. The notch cutout for the selfie cam and Face ID is smaller this time around. This might not seem like a big deal, but ever since Apple introduced the notch to its iPhones, they've stayed committed to it. So now that they've finally changed it, who knows what's next on the horizon? There are a couple of other subtleties you may notice when examining the new iPhone. It is slightly heavier than last year, 10 grams to be exact. And the rear cameras have a different diagonal arrangement, maybe because of the larger sensor in the main camera. But at its core, this is the elegant iPhone design we're used to. The iPhone 13 has a flat Corning-made glass back, with that signature Apple logo. The phone is well balanced and easy to wield, and like last year offers a pretty good grip as well because of the flat and edgy aluminum frame. And of course, the iPhone 13 brings IP68 rated water and dust resistance. Apple claims it'll survive for half an hour under 6 meters of water. The screen of the iPhone 13 is similar to last year's. It's a 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR OLED, protected by ceramic shield, some of the toughest glass there is. While this year's iPhone 13 Pro brings a fast 120Hz refresh rate, the regular model still sticks to a standard 60Hz one. Still, there is one advantage you get here over last year, and that's the max brightness. We measured around 800 nits here with the slider, compared to around 640 nits on the iPhone 12. So using the phone out in the sun should be even more comfortable. The panel has outstanding color accuracy too, no matter what brightness setting it's on. And of course you get other great features here, like deep OLED blacks, True Tone, and HDR10 and Dolby Vision support. For audio, the iPhone 13 has a pair of stereo speakers, one at the bottom and the other at the top, which doubles as an earpiece. They are well balanced and loud, scoring very good on our loudness charts, and the sound quality here is exceptional. Of course, there's no 3.5mm jack, and you need to use an Apple Lightning adapter to plug in traditional headphones. One difference from last year's model is that the iPhone 13 has doubled base storage, and there's also an option to get 512 gigs of storage on board, not expandable of course. And the iPhone 13 brings a new chipset, the latest Apple A15 Bionic. This is one of the most powerful chipsets you can get on a phone, and it provides incredible performance as well as 5G connectivity. In CPU tests, the iPhone 13 tops the charts, scoring up to 15% higher than the iPhone 12. GPU performance is a different story though, because Apple has equipped this year's Pro models with an extra powerful GPU, which has 5 cores instead of 4. So the vanilla iPhone 13 doesn't quite match the graphics scores of the 13 Pro or Pro Max. Still, it does a great job, significantly better than last year's model, and the heaviest games run smoothly even on their highest settings. Plus the thermals aren't too bad here either. The iPhone 13 has a 3,240 mAh battery capacity, larger than the 2,815 capacity on the iPhone 12. And battery life is better here. The new model scored an 89-hour endurance rating in our tests, and allows for at least 3 more hours of video playback or web browsing. But with the larger battery, charging speed is a bit slower. There is no charger in the box, but with Apple's 20-watt charger, we were able to charge the iPhone 13 from 0 to 54% in half an hour. There's also support for wireless charging, which goes up to 15 watts if you use a MagSafe charger. Now onto the iPhone 13's dual cameras. There's a 12-megapixel main camera and a 12-megapixel ultra-wide, just like last year. But this time around, the main cam features a new sensor with larger pixels, as well as sensor shift stabilization. 12-megapixel photos from the main camera are rich in detail, with great contrast and low noise. The dynamic range is not super wide, but it's balanced and natural, and colors are true to life. But like last year, sometimes the foliage presentation comes out looking smeared. We expected an improvement in this regard because of the bigger sensor. Actually, if you compare the iPhone 13's photos to the iPhone 12's, they are basically indistinguishable. And this is a pattern that continued through our testing, despite the new sensor. The main camera can shoot portraits, and it does a great job. The subjects are sharp and detailed, and exposure is balanced. Subject separation is proficient, though sometimes messy hair or an object in the background may mess it up. 12-megapixel ultra-wide photos are quite wide and have alright resolve detail, great contrast, and accurate colors. The dynamic range is again balanced and not that wide. Foliage looks worse here than on the main cam, with grass and trees sometimes looking like an oil painting. Here's a comparison with the iPhone 12, and the quality is the same. Neither the camera nor the processing have changed. In low-light situations, night mode kicks in automatically, and it's super fast to shoot and process. The photos are well balanced, both noise and exposure-wise, and have an incredible amount of detail, excellent color saturation, great contrast, and good dynamic range. Night mode photos taken with the iPhone 12 are indistinguishable, so it turns out the larger sensor on the main cam and the new type of stabilization aren't really making a difference. You can turn off the night mode, and the result is a more true-to-life looking photo. These are a little softer, and the colors are more washed out, but you still have good detail, contrast, dynamic range, and exposure. Here's a comparison with the iPhone 12. Again, no differences here. The ultra-wide camera produces acceptable photos in the dark thanks to the auto night mode. They have balanced exposure and good contrast and color saturation. They are still rather soft and noisy though. Disabling night mode on the ultra-wide isn't recommended. The images are much darker and noisier, with smeared detail and desaturated colors. Let's move on to selfies. They're outstanding, some of the best we've seen to date. They have spectacular resolve detail, praiseworthy contrast and dynamic range, low noise, and accurate colors. Videos can be captured in up to 4K resolution at 60 FPS with all three cameras, all with great stabilization. Footage from the main cam is spectacular with excellent detail, natural looking sharpness, great contrast, exceptional dynamic range, and accurate colors. The 4K videos from the ultra-wide camera are equally brilliant. They have to be among the most detailed we've seen as far as ultra-wide cameras go. There is a new feature called cinematic mode on the main and selfie cameras. It's shot in 1080p resolution at 30 FPS, and it uses advanced portrait mode technology to simulate rack focus. The depth map is created in real time, and the algorithm decides which subject should be in focus and which should be blurred. You can tweak and change all of that in post as well. Finally, let's go over the iPhone 13's user interface, which is the latest iOS 15 out of the box. It's not a major update over iOS 14, but it does bring a few new features. For example, there are the focus options. These are basically filter profiles for your notifications and calls, which you can switch to depending on your current needs. The Safari web browser has also seen an upgrade. The address bar is now at the bottom and easier to reach, and you can swipe left and right to switch tabs. The other new tidbits include improvements in FaceTime, tweaks in the appearance of icons and notifications, an upgraded weather app, and support for new keys in the Apple Wallet. Still, this is essentially the same interface we've seen before. Of course, for your biometrics, there is no fingerprint reader, but Apple's Face ID, which is fast and secure. You have home screens, which you can add apps or widgets to. There's a Today page on the leftmost panel, and an app library over on the right for more app storage. You can get into the Notification Center and Control Center by swiping from the upper left and right corners. The interface is intuitive and responsive. And you get the promise of 5 years of software updates too. So that's Apple's iPhone 13. It's a great phone, one of the best on the market. You get the signature iPhone design, which is super durable, and it comes with an even smaller notch. Then there's the powerful hardware, the bright screen, superb stereo speakers, and the excellent camera experience both in the day and at night. Overall, it's worth recommending, which you'd expect from the latest iPhone. But if you have an iPhone 12 already, the differences here are too small to be worth an upgrade. And keep in mind that you don't get a 120Hz refresh rate, autofocus on the ultra-wide or a zoom camera unless you go for one of the Pro models. Thanks for watching guys, stay safe and see you on the next one.